Hey there, my friends. I wanted to share a little bit about overall. This video might be a little bit longer. Overall, the journey that I'm on, and I think what it has to offer folks who are stuck in a life that just feels kind of mediocre, stuck feeling like they've got more of their love to give the world, more of their potential that needs to be tapped, and basically I was experiencing back in Columbus. I was experiencing this sensation of I'm not giving all I'm here to give, right? And this is just a week and a half ago. I was starting to feel like I was in a rut. I was doing the same thing over and over again. I was experiencing the same day over and over again, and I was trying to come up with, like, my mind was trying to come up with new things to share with folks, to help them on their journeys, which is what I love doing. But I couldn't help but run out of gas. You know, the universe was giving me this blockage. I was stuck. I wasn't able to feel more of the love that I wanted to give. I was stuck in a lack of a growth place. I was just going to the same coffee shop and back, which I love that coffee shop, Boston Stoker. Nice short walk from my place. Meditating and doing the regular thing, but I realized that it was time for a change. It was time for a radical shift in what I chose to do with my time, what I chose to do with my day, and really leaping into the vision that I wanted for my future. And I realized, looking back, that your mind wants to set goals. Your mind wants to tell the world how to be, how to do. Your mind has an idea of what life is, and then on the level of that mind place, you're only happy as long as your outside world matches your mental projection of what it should be, like a blueprint of what the world should be. So then that gives you a couple of choices, maybe three choices. First choice is continue that pattern and hope for sunny days to just kind of give you the life that you're expecting it should be. Right? The second way is to rewire your blueprint and consciously create a new map that fits the world better. Like, if it's almost like your mind is a blanket, like a rectangular blanket, and we try to put it over a sphere. Like the life itself is a sphere that can't really be grabbed and snatched up and fully understood. It can only be cradled. But we have to put this mental map in the form of, like, religion or mathematics or thought processes or whatever on top of this sphere. And it doesn't always fit. It can't fit because it's a rectangular blanket that we're tossing on top of it. Right? And that's like your thoughts, your projection of what life should be, your ideas of your future, your hardwired goals. All of these things are like a blueprint of what your life should be. The third way to live, the third way to go about it, once you experience the edge of your blanket, so to speak, on that sphere, is to let go of the blanket entirely. Is to get comfortable with a naked sphere. Is to get comfortable with life just as it is, because what being all around you is, what life all around you is perfect. And everything that you're feeling is a manifestation of the perfectness of life. Is it fair? No, because animals die in nature and negative feelings arise sometimes. But when you judge it, when you use your mind and say, like, this doesn't fit the blanket, I'm supposed to be happy all the time, I'm supposed to be positive all the time, life's supposed to be perfect, or I need to make my vision work this exact way. When we do that, all of a sudden it's like we're telling God what to do. All of a sudden I'm gonna take off my sweatshirt. All of a sudden we've got these ideas that are no longer comfortable once life doesn't match our perception of what it should be anymore. And so how this plays back into what I was experiencing is I realized that it was time for me to make a change. And so I just bought a ticket to a yoga retreat that my mentor suggested I go to in Tennessee with the Isha Foundation. If you're interested, you could look it up. Beautiful ashram in the mountains. Oh my goodness. The largest meditation hall in the Western Hemisphere, actually, consecrated by Sadhguru, an enlightened Indian mystic. And it's a whole new world. If you haven't explored any of that stuff, Kriya Yoga, it's a whole different world. It's beautiful. And so I knew that something had to happen to shake me out of my monotony, to take me to another level of understanding, a new level of perception, a new level of love, right? Breaking through more barriers to love the world more effortlessly. Because I can't love the world. Here's the thing, like Joe McVean can't love the world. Joe McVean can only get out of the way for love to flow through. And that's the same with you. And so who you perceive yourself to be on the level of thought, on the level of your ideas, on the level of your goals, who you perceive yourself to be, can't do a doggone thing consistently. You can successfully act in the realm of your blanket. You can successfully, achieve goals here and there when it happens to be the flow that the universe, that life was already giving you. But you can't just flow through life with thoughts of how it should be, with labels of how it should be. And I realize that very, very clearly now. Now I'm in Atlanta right now. I went from Tennessee down to Atlanta, hitched a ride with a new friend of mine. I'm in Atlanta, and I'm heading to Florida here shortly. And really just drifting through and not expecting anything on any day and making as few plans as I possibly can. All I know is that I'm going to be love in the most beautiful, vibrant way that I possibly can. And I'll tell you, the biggest takeaway from my yoga retreat, besides lots of new asanas that helped me perceive life in a new way, was truthfully the quote from Jesus, an enlightened master for sure, that says, "Love thy neighbor." What does that mean? I always thought of a house and the dude next door would love thy neighbor. But what I really came to understand it to be is a next level piece of wisdom, which is love everyone and everything that is in your immediate sphere that you can touch, starting with your feelings. Your feelings and your thoughts are always your neighbor, because you as a soul always is right next to your thoughts and always right next to your emotions and your projections of what life should be and all that stuff. So just love it, right? Love it willingly, openly, and accept it for whatever it is, whatever wants to pop through, whatever wants to show up. You just abundantly give the joy of your being to anything that you see, any person you see, any animal, plant, or tree, or whatever it is that you see, because it's all a being of the universe. It's all a flowing, it's all a happening. And there's no separation between you and it. There's no separation between you and the beautiful stuff all around you, including the parts that you label as not beautiful inside of you. Everything is beautiful. Your negative thoughts or your fears or your sense of rejection and all that stuff, it just doesn't fit your blanket. That's all. But if it exists in the universe, then it's inherently perfect. Is it fair? No. Is it useful? Not really. So, when you love it, the good news is that negative stuff dissolves away, and you no longer have to fight against yourself, because you just accept yourself. You just love whatever is. And here's the cool part, which I'm starting to explore, is when you just love whatever comes through, when you just love your inner situation, your outer situation is able to blossom, and you're able to just joyfully bounce from friend to friend through the eastern coast of the United States, which is exactly what I'm doing here, and it's the biggest blessing ever. There's sunshine, and we're no longer in the snow of Columbus. That's a win. And hanging out with my best buddy Mike, and heading down to see more beautiful people down in Florida. But it wouldn't have been possible if I had told the world how to be. If I had said, no, I'm not going to go to Tennessee, I've got work to do. Well, that was my blanket. That was my limitation on what life should be, what life needs to be, how it should happen, how it should work. But much more beautiful than that is what life really is, far outside of your perception and your thought of what it is. So I'm going to continue this journey. I'm in Atlanta right now, and let's just see a little bit of what I'm seeing here. Just looking out on a nice parking lot with no snow, because this is not Ohio anymore. And nothing. Ohio does have very good, beautiful summers, but man, Atlanta kicks butt in the wintertime, that's for sure. So make sure you love your neighbor. And that was something that was huge for me too, because looking back, man, I'm just constantly evolving past different levels of my ego as I continue this journey of bringing my love to the world as best I can. Because when I started this journey, my goal was to end human suffering. And now I see how foolish that was, because it was like a goal, like a future-minded thing that I had to produce, to do, to be, to give, to, you know, to. It's like I had to have it. It was blanket. It was like a beautiful blanket, but it was a blanket on the sphere of life. And although I'm grateful that I had that inspiration, and I think it pointed me in the right direction, and I think everybody starting any new journey is like, it's the nature of entrepreneurship, it's the nature of stepping out on your own. Like, you're never going to have the perfect right idea, but it points you diagonally in the right direction. Like, if you need to go, let me see if I can do this right on camera, like this way, if this is the perfect direction, like, it's way better to just like sprint this way, recorrect, go this way, recorrect, go this way, and then you're like making it up, right? But lots of people, they're like, well, I don't know how to do this. Right? How often do you hear that? Like, I don't have the perfect fitness plan. I don't have the perfect blah, blah, blah. I don't know how to do it perfectly and never waste a minute the whole time, so I'm not going to start. What a big mistake. What a huge mistake. Because anybody who's ever done anything worth doing has failed their way to it. And I think I'm, part of me is that I'm just really perfectionist-ish, but with myself, I'm really kind of self-critical, I guess. I hold myself to a very high standard. And so I guess I notice when I need to course correct faster than some other people notice around me. But know that I was always like zigzagging. I still probably am zigzagging, because I'm sure 10 years from now I'll look back at this video and say, man, if only I had thought in this particular way, right? But that's the nature of life, you know. You're an acorn far before you're ever a huge oak tree. But you don't go acorn to oak tree. You go acorn to, like, sprouting your first root, and then you sprout your first root, and then you sprout some more roots, and then finally you have a great day where you pop above the surface. I remember my day when I did that very well. I spent 2 months like crying and building a website and making videos, but never posted a doggone thing on social media, and then finally I popped above the surface and showed my love to the world and showed myself to the world, and I finally had like a backing of a plan and some kind of root system to back me up in terms of my vision document, my personal mission statement, and lots of things that I had to give me a feel for what I was going to become and what I was going to do and emerge through me and all that stuff. But there still was a day when it had to pop up, and then I was nowhere near a sapling, and then maybe now I'm something like a sapling or a tree with a couple branches, and someday I'll be a mighty oak tree on this journey. But right now, just like trees don't judge and worry and fear based upon where they are, I'm just enjoying the hell out of gallivanting with love all across the eastern United States. And I'll keep making videos, every day along the way to share a little bit of the beautiful journey. Because this is the journey of life. This is what happens when you step outside of the box. And it's not easy. Of course, this took months and months and months of preparation in order to be able to be in a spot where I've got income to support me while I travel. But it's all about staying rooted in who you are. It's all about staying rooted in your feeling of life and giving yourself abundant space, because the guiding force doesn't speak to you as loudly as nonsense does. Like nature, if you've ever been in the woods and felt that peace and serenity, you can't feel it when you're talking or shouting or whatever. It's like that God whispers, He doesn't shout at you. And you got to give him space for him to even have a chance to even hear a single thing he's saying. And I don't mean the old fearful religious form of God. By God, I just mean the universe, life itself, and guidance. To remember that you are a piece of beautiful life, you got to kind of be quiet and give yourself space, and give yourself a little bit of time, and give yourself, still make actions every day. After you give yourself that space, definitely act on it. Otherwise, you're not helping anybody, and you're not ultimately changing your situation. But who was his name? Abraham Lincoln was very wise when he said, well, he's wise all the time, but he has a wise quote that says, if you gave me 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend 6 sharpening my axe. And that's exactly what the most effective way to live life is, which unfortunately isn't how our society is built. Right? 40-hour work weeks, 50, 60-hour work weeks, whatever. Like, just wake up, first thing you do is chug coffee and go to work. When you spend more time investing in exploring who you are and exploring the space that allows anything meaningful to come through you, then everything that you end up doing is much more perfect and much more in line with the direction that you really that you're on Earth to be walking. But if you wake up and the first thing you do is to watch news and suck down coffee and stress and answer emails and stuff, then it's very possible that you're like just going completely in a erroneous direction, or maybe even this way, right? And then of course you get distracted and you don't take care of your body, and then you're unhealthy, and then you don't have the energy to look at the things that you'd like to be doing, and you don't have, you know, your thoughts are filled with all sorts of fear or whatever from the news and the media and gossiping friends, and then you build a friend network around people who are negative, and you can see how this downward spiral starts to begin, where you no longer have a connection to any route that's going to lift you up. And so if you're in that downward spiral, a good place to start is like first thing when you wake up, or whenever you have time. Some people have busy morning schedules, so like in the evening too. A good place to start is to force yourself into a situation where you spend a whole hour all alone, silent, with no TV. In fact, I'd recommend giving away your TV in general, but silent with no TV, really exploring as much as you can explore in yourself. And if you got kids, maybe get a babysitter to have time for yourself, and just see what comes through as you just sit with you in a journal, silent, with no music, no TV, no nothing. Because if you were to zoom all the way out and look at why you do what you do, if you were like an alien looking at your life from orbit, isn't it kind of insane that we create activities to disguise, or to what is the word? To distract, that's the one. We create opportunities to distract us from who we really are, and to distract us from silence. Any alien who knew anything about quantum physics or just subatomic particles in general knows that we're more empty space than we are stuff, and that us looking at ourselves and thinking that we're stuff is really just an ignorance of the fact that there's way more space between atoms than there is space taken up by the atoms themselves. So ignoring your own silence and ignoring your stillness and ignoring the peace of emptiness is ignoring who you are. It's ignoring your nature. And when you ignore your nature, of course, it's insane, and then you cling to your blanket, and anything happening outside of your blanket, you're like, you're all flustered and messed up and pissed off and stuff. And life isn't happening the way you want it to, but life flows when you accept it for exactly what needs to come through. And if you're experiencing a ton of negative emotions, it's because something new is trying to come through you, but you're in resistance. Don't try to do it perfect, my friend. Just let it go. Just let it be. And walk that path. When I say let it go, don't just like sit back all day, but like let it be and act. Let it be and act. Let it be and act. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of my cup of tea here in a nice sunny afternoon. Make a blog post, work on the website a little bit, and then share a new program that's coming out here soon that I'm excited to share with folks. But anyhow, have a beautiful rest of your day. Thanks for watching, and I'll be talking again soon.